coming out shortly. Not sure how much it will be, but certainly there is talks that there is going to be another round of stimulus. Um, so again, as people are getting this stimulus money, we just wanted to touch base on a few tips that we thought were pretty important to either spend or save your stimulus money. So we're going to go through some of that. And again, my name's Alan Dembski. If you haven't watched our previous videos, and we're here with Tanya Baya, another advisor with us at Buffalo First. So we're going to kind of go through this, and we try to keep it under 10 minutes. Sometimes we go a little bit longer than our allotted time, but we get into some in-depth conversation, and sometimes it just carries us away. So one of the things that we think that you could be doing with your $600 stimulus check is save for retirement. If you don't need the money, it's not a pressing need that you need that income right away, whether it's $1,200, maybe you could put it into an IRA to help lower your overall tax burden from last year, or possibly maybe you could put that in a Roth. If you're doing a 401k already and you're contributing to that, why not put that into a Roth? It's already pre-tax, or after tax, I'm sorry, after tax. And then it comes out after tax after 59 and a half, tax-free, income-free, gross tax deferred. The power of compounding is strong with a Roth. So if you could contribute $1,200 a year, or even just your stimulus check, amortize that at 7% over 20 years, you probably have a $20, $30, $40,000 by then. I didn't do the exact math, but I could to figure out that exact. But between your Roth, if you haven't done a Roth contribution, and your IRA, you can actually do, if you're under 50, $6,000 for last year. Or you can start fresh for this year if you plan on, if you already contributed maximum amounts for last year, you can start with that this year of that 6,000. If you're over 50, you can do an extra 1,000 on top of that. So you could do $7,000 into your Roth IRA with some of that money. So that's, just a real quick one. I think is easy for a lot of people because they have traditional IRAs, or they might have a Roth, where, a small amount, get it started, put it to work, let that money work for you, as the government gave that to you to help stimulate the economy going forward. So, I mean, that's one of the ideas I had. Tanya, you got another one?
Sure. Mine has to do directly with what we all bought our kids or our parents or our friends for Christmas. We are all getting our credit card bills due. And so one of the best things you can do with the money, if you do have debt, is to pay it down and pay off. The biggest thing is to pay off the high interest debt first. So if you have two credit cards and one's paying in, what we mean by high interest is you might have one credit card with 10% interest on it, and you've got $1,000 there. Then you have another credit card that has another $1,000 and it's 25% interest. You obviously have to pay the minimum for each of them, but if you have that extra money, you want to get rid of the $1,000, as much of the $1,000 on the 25%, because it's taking a quarter of your minimum payment out each time you put the money in. That's a huge chunk that you are not paying yourself back. You are paying directly to the credit card company. So that would be, if you have debt, use this money, pay it off. It'll make you feel better, and you will feel lighter because you will have less debt hanging over your head.
With all the financial plans that we've done and the amount of people that we talk to on an annual basis that have credit card debt, as soon as that one is just paid off, it's like everything is taken off their shoulders. They're relaxed, they're happy, their attitude completely changes. Even just one, say you had 10 of them, if you just pay off one, people are just so excited and happy that they accomplished something.
Yes. You're on your way.
That's right. And we've seen quite a few of those, right? But the most enjoyable part is when people are in debt and we can help them come up with that debt schedule, pay off that debt sooner than later, and really come up with a plan to do that. I think that's where the excitement really starts to build.
Yes.
One of the other things that I don't know if people noticed, it was kind of thrown out in like August, September area. Congress kind of threw this out there, and people really don't pay attention to tax implications when they're um, in the summer when taxes aren't there. But one of the things the government did is really also to help charities is gave people a $300 if you could donate $300 in cash to a charity, they gave you that as an above the line deduction. So what that means is you don't have to itemize your deductions in order to take advantage of that $300. So say you got $600, you donate 300 to charity, you put 300 in your retirement account. You could potentially, if you do a pre-tax retirement account, you can get $600 deduction on your above the line on your tax deduction. So that's pre-adjusted gross. So that $300 would go there. And certainly I'm sure charities, I haven't seen any statistics on this. Maybe you have, Tanya, with charities are hurting right now because that cash donations are not coming in. You know, places like the Goodwill closing, people at home, they were cleaning things out, like AMVETS and the Goodwill and Salvation Army, those types of organizations had an influx of donations. However, the cash side, people that rely on cash are really hurting at this time with the pandemic.
I agree. So yeah, if you have some extra money and you can give it to a charity of your choice, it would be really appreciated. Another
Oh,
one,
absolutely.
another one that we looked at was shoring up your emergency fund. And of course, the emergency fund is not an investment thing. It is a savings account or a checking account where you keep enough funds to really, if something were to terrible happen, besides COVID, I guess, on top of that, or because of it, you would have an extra month or two. And a lot of people, because of COVID, have had to eat into their emergency fund. So putting that 600 per person that you have from your house back into that emergency fund, if you have had to take it out, that's a really smart thing to do. It just gives you that little extra feeling of security that should another wave of this come or any other possible issue come from it, that you have that buffer to rely on again.
So if I were in the restaurant industry or something like that, food service, or actually any service industry, I guess, where you're taking care of customers face to face, how many months do you think I should have set aside for emergency?
Well, I used to say 3 months would be really good. And then if you could do a little more than that, that's great. But after what's happened with COVID and everything, again, even if you've eaten away at it, just start building it back up. But maybe now it has been a learning experience, and 6 months is a much better, better option, just in case something were to happen again, because none of us expected anything, these things to be closed. Well, for any of our I want to say environment, our economy goes down for so long. So yeah, I would up it to 6 months, but don't be frustrated if all you've got is maybe 3 weeks or something. Just put some more into it and start to build it back up when you can and as you can.
And what about if I have kids? Anything I could do with some of that money for my kids?
Sure, you could put it into the 529 if you have a 529. You have there's other, you can put it in investment options, but honestly, most people like to save for college, and the 529 plan is the best. And by putting some of it in, you may start to feel that, oh, I've put the first amount in, and it might be easier then to put the next amount in, and just growing it, even if it's the 600 or even if it's 300. Again, this money grows tax-free up until you use, and even as long as you use it for education, you can take it out tax-free as well. So it's a nice growth vehicle for education.
Yeah, and the government's actually making it a little easier for 529 distributions as well. So any advantages to the New York state plan versus an out-of-state plan?
Well, the New York State plan then, of course, gives you the tax advantage of being, of it being tax. You can take it off on your taxes. So the amount, $10,000 per child. You
Up
can
to.
Up to, excuse me. Yeah, right. Well, you can, but right, up to $10,000, because actually you can put 15 away federally, but
Right.
that is not, that's not something that, will work for you in New York State as far as taxes go. The first 10 would be, you would be able to take off your
So we
taxes.
talked about federal tax savings before, how we could potentially offset some taxable income. And then we talked about some stateside for us living in New York. If you're following us in a different state, your state rules and regulations might be a little bit different than they are in New York. You might not be able to get a tax break or tax help depending on the state that you live in. So I just want to throw that out because we have clients all over the country,
So do,
and every state is different when it comes to those rules.
yeah, check your state rules.
Yep. And one of the last things I would just comment on before we start to wrap it up would be really support your local business. I mean, you hear it a lot. I'm going to give a plug for our local Amherst Chamber. They have discounted coupons for the chamber to help small businesses. And, really, if you can just support that, maybe take $100 out of that stimulus and use it for a restaurant. Or right across the street, we have now the Buffalo store, which is locally owned and operated, that carries everything Buffalo. Help support them, and the restaurant right next door, and other businesses that you can help with. And last but not least, one of the things I want to just inform people, I was on a tax webinar yesterday, and the IRS is going to be sending people tax forms for the stimulus that they received. They don't owe taxes on them, but it's just reporting that they received that. Because if you have not received your $600 by the time tax season starts, you could actually get a credit on your tax return for that money if you have not received it. So it's just a way for the government to track who got it, who didn't get it, who's filing it on their taxes. So there's no double dipping there.
The other
So
thing, since we're in Buffalo, is that if I understand correctly, the bars and, well, I don't know about bars, but the restaurants are going to start opening up. And so
in Erie County.
What? I'm sorry?
In Erie County.
Erie County, right. So the restaurants, other places they've already been opened, but here in Erie, we are getting a chance to go back into the restaurant. So that would be another good place to go. They're going to be very safe and very careful. And I know that my daughter Jenna and I are going to go get our hair done within the next week or so, because our hairstyle is. So yes.
That's always good.
Please go out
Yeah.
a bit with your comfort level and enjoy what we have in our Erie County.
Yeah, thanks. So I think that's about all the time that we have today. So to give our plugs is to follow us on Facebook. This video will be posted on Facebook, our YouTube channel. You can follow Tanya and I on Facebook, Twitter, and also LinkedIn. I knew I was forgetting. Excuse me. I knew I was forgetting one. I just couldn't remember which one it was. A lot of social networking out there. Feel free to reach out to us, email, text, call, whatever your preferred method is. We can do videos like we're doing here today and if you have any other topics that you'd like us to discuss or chat about, we're certainly happy to do that in our 10 to 15 minute time period. And hopefully soon we'll be back in the office and doing these actually on YouTube Live or Facebook Live in the near future. So anything else you want to add, Tanya, before we sign off for today?
No, everybody have a great weekend. And go Bills.
Yes, absolutely. Go Bills. Hopefully next week we're talking about the conference championship game and on our way to the Super Bowl. So with that, have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.